Bernstein Show. Now, here's Ed.
Joining us today is Clark County Commissioner Jim Gibson. Commissioner Gibson has dedicated decades of service to Southern Nevada through leadership in government, public safety, and community development. Welcome to the show, Commissioner Gibson. Welcome back.
Well, thank you very much, Ed. It's good to be here.
You're welcome. And you have worn so many hats for such a long period of time. You know, I remember you served in Henderson as mayor for several terms. You've been involved in so many different community organizations and political events. You're also the chair of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, right?
Yes, I am.
And explain to me what that is and how it differs from what you do on the county commission.
Well, the LVCVA's job is to put heads in beds. It's to bring visitation to this destination. And we're all about pitching everything we have to offer in Clark County and all across the valley as we go out and meet with people. And we have really incredibly talented salespeople who sell the convention industry on Las Vegas, who sell other kinds of things. And then, of course, our job is to see what we can do to bring new things here that would add to all of that. And that's resulted in incredible events that happen here.
Right. So I know the commission is, the Convention Center Authority is comprised of representatives from the county, the city, the different, I assume North Las Vegas as well, right?
Yes.
So is there any politics involved? Like you want to bring an event. I mean, you represent basically Henderson and some of that surrounding area. Obviously you want to do what's best for your constituents, right? Somebody else, maybe Mayor Berkeley, wants to do what's best for the city, right? So is there a little bit of wrestling and compromising that goes on there?
Most of the time, not. What we value, all of us, is increased visitation. And then we've got to make sure that whatever we have appeals to the visitor. My district is from essentially Flamingo to Boulder City. I have both sides of the strip from Flamingo to Tropicana. I have the east side of the strip from Tropicana through the airport. The airport's in my district. Much of UNLV is in my district, down to Boulder Highway and even across Boulder Highway in some places. So it's a very diverse district, and there are a lot of needs there. And the county, after all, my job at the LVCVA is doing everything I can do to market and empower marketing of this destination. My job at the county is local government. It's what we do in neighborhoods, the way we respond to people who have needs, and the way we deal with planning and zoning and the rest of it. And then, of course, we have the regional things, which are, the social services, the juvenile court system, the courts, things that aren't out there in the cities. They rely upon us to provide all of that.
Yeah. And having been mayor of Henderson is kind of similar, but how is it different?
Well, it's like serving with seven mayors.
Okay.
When you think about the county commission.
Right. Yeah.
In the city, I was the principal spokesperson. In the county, I'm one of 7 spokespeople, which is right, and I accept that. It's challenging enough to take care of a district that's twice the size of my city district when I was the mayor. And then to respond to all of the commercial things and the gaming things that weren't a part of the City of Henderson job.
When you look back upon your job as mayor, what was some of your proudest accomplishments?
As I think about it, you'll remember the days when we were Hooterville or Henderville or Hendertucky, there was an odor from the plants. We got kind of pasted with that all the time. But when I was finished with 12 years as the mayor, we had become one of the most safe cities. We had the incredible park system that other people envied. We were one of the most successful places in pitching ourselves as a place to live. We had a reputation that was in the stars. And I would say being a part of what we did out there and being the mayor and doing my part to lead along, I believe with the staff and the other electeds, brought us to a point that we didn't imagine we could achieve. And I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is so true, because Henderson did not have a good reputation, looking back 20, 30 years ago. Today, it's got the same, I mean, positive reputation as far as housing and communities and neighborhoods as Summerlin would have, right? Is that because of the planning that went into these neighborhoods, these areas, and the developers that worked with you to create these spaces?
Well, that's a critical piece of it. I mean, you think about it. We had more at the time. We probably still have more in Henderson of the master planned communities that take into account various types of housing opportunities and commercial to service them, and it makes and schools nearby. It makes the living experience one that is incredible, because you have a park within a mile of your home no matter where you live. You have a school nearby if you have elementary school children. You have streets that work, and they're complete streets. You can ride bicycles on those streets and run along those streets and do it safely. All of that is the plan the developers brought to us, right? So as it turns out, we got a lot of high marks for the quality of development that we demanded.
Yeah.
But the detail was created by people who are very creative, and they were the ones proposing and the ones developing.
Of course, oftentimes success comes with their own set of problems, like traffic. and I mean, watching Henderson grow and now driving up and down Eastern, has become even more and more challenging, right? But that's not really something you can do as mayor. Is county commission, you could do a little bit more, I guess, in that regard, right?
So we don't deal with them so much on their city streets,
right,
except that we're all a part of the Regional Transportation Commission, and funding for much of that comes from the RTC. So we're partners when it comes to the things that the RTC works on. The 215 and making sure you can figure out how to get where you want to get, particularly at the end of or the beginning of the day, is a real challenge. But the work we're doing is widening the 215 and adding travel lanes. In the city of Henderson, that was really their project. They wanted to do that. County is a part of that. In fact, we're going to solve a problem we've had for a long time, because right where the I-11, the 95 crosses over what is Lake Mead Parkway becomes, or Lake Mead Drive, which becomes the 215. We actually are going to be and we owe this to the Public Works Director in Henderson. He figured out that there is room to install 2 new lanes so that you can actually load the 215 without having to be at Lake Mead in line waiting for the lights to turn.
Well, not only that, you cannot get like from the auto mall, right, area to get back on the 215 or the 11.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, the Auto Show Drive. You take that, you don't go to the 215.
Yeah.
You have to go up Gibson to get there.
I've learned that lesson a couple, and I keep forgetting it. But you're talking about widening the 215. Yeah. I remember when it was, I'm sure you do as well, when it was built, there was no traffic on
That's
that.
right.
You could fly, there's not a car in sight down that road. Now it's almost like LA with some of the traffic, and it's a good thing we're widening it, but widening it in and of itself is causing traffic issues. How long does a project like that take?
Well, it's a couple of years. If I'm not mistaken, I think that the current work will be all finished at about 3 years. So it takes a while. So we live with cones. One of the commitments I made was to keep the same number of lanes open during the construction. So they've done that. So you kind of shift up against the Jersey wall, right, to accommodate that third lane. But yeah, it's not easy, and I say to myself sometimes, I just got to live long enough to see the great work that's being done on this road.
Well, look, we went through the same situation on the 15 for a number of years, and it's much better today than it was. Still a lot of traffic. But,
we're gonna get it,
but much better. It's something that we seem we're working on all around the country right now are with the data centers, and Las Vegas has been kind of at the center of that with Switch and a lot of the data centers and communication centers that we have here in southern Nevada. A lot of people have complained about it, not only because of energy costs, I guess, create increased energy costs. I had my personal situation today when trying to buy a hard drive, and I learned today the cost of hard drives, because everybody else, all these data centers or AI stuff are buying up drives. I mean, it's doubled and tripled in price. But getting back to the original question, where are we with the data centers? What is the win-win in that? How do we allow data centers to create what they need to create, the technology, and at the same time protecting the environment and protecting our energy costs?
Well, without regard to the need for data centers, I think there are a couple of things that are really important here. Several years ago, I, as a member of the Southern Nevada Water Authority, adopted a water conservation policy. Part of that policy was no new commercial evaporative cooling. So, as it turns out, a data center requires an enormous amount of cooling because that equipment is just going all day and all night.
Right.
And in order to keep it cool, they have to use whatever resource they have. The problem here is that the consumption of water that we don't get to put back in the wash and get return flow credits for is at a premium. And we made that decision. In fact, I remember the day we made the vote. We voted to adopt the policy, and at the conclusion of the vote, I said to my colleagues who represent Boulder City, North Las Vegas, and the county, we all have to agree we're going back and we are going to adopt this very same policy in every one of the jurisdictions, so we don't have somebody acting out of sync with the rest of us. So whatever was permitted by the time that those jurisdictions, all of us, adopted that policy is permitted. Those things will be built. But I think it pretty much addresses data centers today until they come up with a way of cooling them that it doesn't require evaporative cooling. The energy thing is an NV Energy issue. They obviously, NV Energy is selling everything it's producing. So I'm sure it's challenging to be able to supply the required and demanded power. Mm-hmm. But on the water side, we're in control of that. And I feel as though we really resolved that. It's settled until there's another alternative. All of us have adopted that conservation policy.
Yeah, and obviously the water issue is a much bigger issue than any of this.
Yes.
And can you explain, when you're talking about the recycling of the water, because most people, a lot of reviewers don't really understand that what you're doing inside the house really circulates back into the system. It's really
right.
What goes on in your yards and outside, and things like industrial issues like you're talking about.
At the end, if it evaporates, we don't get to ever use it again. Mm-hmm. If it goes down and into our system so that it goes out either a storm drain or through the sewer system, gets treated, put in a wash, and back out to the lake, we can use that water. I think the number is something like 6 times. So we have 300,000 acre feet of water we can pull out of the river system, plus the approximate 30,000 we got because we contributed some money to the building of a reuse plant in Southern California. We really have access to a whole lot more than that because in the end, we're putting it all back in, and that's not consumed. So we get credit for putting that water back in the lake. And there are gauges that measure everything that goes back in. We're very conscious of that responsibility and conscientious in living it.
Read something in the paper, I think this morning, about they're getting some equipment over at the dam so they can actually help, since the water level's so low, help reach these lower levels and circulate the water back.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in fact, some years ago, we made the decision to put the third straw in, and we did it at a level, we put a low-level pumping station in So if it ever got to a point that the water was not going through the dam, and the only way it goes through the dam in today's world is in producing electricity. If it ever got low enough that they could not run those turbines, we would have years and years of water that is stored in Lake Mead, because there's not another jurisdiction anywhere, no other state has a pipeline in to that lake. We are the only ones that have it. So, we've done the prudent thing to protect the water supply for our residents.
That's reassuring. It's been a tough year, last year or so in Las Vegas. Last summer, visitation was down at close to 10%, I thought. I read recently where the hotels now are trying to become, or at least offer some bargains, being some of them are going all-inclusive, where you buy the room and you're getting the food and maybe the ride on the roller coaster or something. What is your projection of how things are looking for this summer?
They're up. We're doing better. The last 3 months, for instance, we've gained in both the convention space and the tourism space. We hope we're making headway on the perception of affordability. It got out there, and I think it was a real and legitimate complaint that some were charging way more than they ought to, and people would come here without an idea that they're going to end up paying what they'd have to pay to eat and drink and do other things.
Park.
That's right, and park. So what we encouraged, and we've met with the hotels and the industry. We have done an ad. We've got other ads in place, and we're doing everything we can do to encourage them. And they, on their own initiative, have done an awful lot to bring the prices of some of those things that were startling down. All of that, I think, will come into focus. I think the other thing is we've done a good job of expanding what we offer here. And as a result, we think that a year from now, we're going to have recovered. And the value in all of that can't be overstated. I mean, that means more people are at work taking care of visitors who come here. Visitors are paying sales tax and live entertainment tax and room tax, so that they're helping fund government. All of that is really critical to us. But I think that maybe the thing that gives us the edge is that we become the sports and entertainment destination, right? We're the #1 of both of those in the world. 150,000 rooms within 5 miles of any venue. So the Super Bowl, in a neighboring state, they had a Super Bowl, and they needed to know how many rooms there were within 20 miles of the stadium. Here, the answer is within 20 miles, 150,000, within 10 miles, 150,000, within 5 miles, 150,000. Everything is here. It was as if this city were built to host events like that. So we have the football championship playoff game now scheduled. We have another Super Bowl that we'll be hosting. Formula One comes in, and the value to the destination of Formula One is $1 billion nearly every year.
Wow.
It's one of those things where, whether it's the NFR or it is the Super Bowl, we can accommodate them. And no other place in the world can do what we can do. And people are recognizing that.
And of course, we have a new stadium going up in your district.
That's right.
Which I understand you've toured. And I saw the drawings and the model. I mean, it looks spectacular. What's it like when you actually tour it? I mean, is it starting to the frame?
It's amazing.
What stage are they at? By
Yeah.
the way?
So when I went, they were starting now on the vertical steel supports. The building is going to be iconic. One of the things that people don't realize is that that roof will be as high as the tallest roof line at the MGM Hotel across Tropicana from it.
So it's
It's going to be big.
we're reinventing the skyline.
We are. This is an iconic design, and they're doing it. They're going to do it right. The A's are really fine people. The people that manage and operate it, the ownership, they're incredible people. I first met them, interestingly. I think the first time I talked to the commissioner of baseball was with ownership at the Mob Museum and we had a Zoom call, and it was exciting because I didn't know why I was going there.
Right.
And to see now Major League Baseball here is as exciting as anything I can think of. So you've got the NFL and you've got the hockey team. I mean, the hockey team and Bill Foley really opened the door to this part of our lives, and they have had such enormous success. So when and the Aces, the women's basketball, professional basketball team, an incredible set of athletes who have represented us well. This is really an exciting time to be in this destination.
Yeah. Even the Raiders have a good potential future looking ahead for them.
The reality is they got the #1 draft pick.
Right.
They got Tom Brady helping that young man learn how to do it in the NFL, and they're trying to put around him the kind of people they owe him and us as their fans to do.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, and you know what? It's funny, but the attendance holds over at Allegiant Stadium for football games, for professional football games. But the other things are amazing. I mean, this is the #1 stadium in the world, right? It is the #1 stadium. In terms of production of revenue, it might be the #2 in the world, but for every other purpose, it's the #1 stadium in the world.
And so what happens when the A's do their stadium? And it's just going to raise the bar for everybody.
I think there are a couple of things. If you rent Allegiant Stadium, you pay for the stadium.
Right.
And so there are a lot of shows, a lot of events that would happen where they don't want to pay for 65,000 seats. They prefer to pay for 30,000 seats. Mm-hmm. And so this will open the door to better serve the people that are hoping to come here. Some maybe that are already here, but mostly I think this will be an attraction to people who are hoping to come here.
And how does this relate then with the convention business that comes into Las Vegas?
Well, it's so interrelated, isn't funny. I mean, in the end, there is a reason why the attendees come here in the numbers they do. And it is because when the show ends at 5 o'clock in the evening, there is nightlife here. And there are so many other things they can do to recreate. Mm-hmm. This is really the place where it's easy to draw people to town.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about medical facilities, and cause I know in Henderson, is that your district?
Yes.
The new hospital?
No, that's in Michael Knapp's district.
Michael, okay, but it's considered Henderson,
yes.
And it's all
It's awful close.
Yeah, there's always been a complaint, and it seems like we're always lagging behind in medical facilities here in Las Vegas. When you talk about the one thing that we really can improve, it probably is teaching hospitals and medical internships and medical facilities. I know we're doing something with the Children's Hospital, and it looks like it's going to happen. You would know better.
Well,
than
we
I.
approved the establishment of that hospital and the Harry Reid Industrial property over there that is owned by UNLV. Right. And it's going to be an incredible asset to us. This is a true subspecialty pediatric hospital. I have a 10-year-old who, when she was born, required a lot of attention and surgeries and all, and was here for 10 weeks and ultimately was transferred to the Intermountain Healthcare Primary Children's Hospital, and 10 days later she was discharged. Miracles happen there. And I am so proud to be supportive of the expansion of medical care here in the Valley. We don't abandon anything that we have in place. What we're doing is bringing something in that will elevate everybody and the quality of healthcare for everyone here. And they'll be hiring and are hiring specialists in practices that don't have a presence here. I mean, there are people in LA that fly in and do procedures and things, and a lot of that happens. But we need it here, and they are being successful in recruiting those qualified subspecialists. It's exciting.
Right. So, creating the infrastructure and creating the removing some of that red tape is maybe hopefully getting some of the services that we need, because Las Vegas as a destination, I remember, even with the hockey team, it was hard to get people to move here. It seems like with education, it's hard to get teachers to move. That problem is it part of history? I mean, is it gone, that problem?
It's not gone, but we're making a dent in it.
Right.
And our role isn't to run and establish policy for the school district, but it sure is to lift the opportunities available in this community so that families or individuals who have the strengths and the training and licensure that we need in our schools are willing to come here. Their kids are going to get a better education because of those kinds of things that we're doing. And as I said, I think that the tide that we're helping rise is going to lift all boats, and it'll be everything.
Jim, I look back at the service that you've done in Southern Nevada and statewide, and your family. I mean, you have family goes back decades of creating community service here in Southern Nevada. Your family is part of the pioneers that made Las Vegas what it is today. And you've done so much, you've created so much. When you look forward to what your legacy, what you would like it to be, what are you thinking?
I don't spend a lot of time on that, Ed. I will say this, that I have grandchildren. Whatever my legacy is, by definition, needs to be something that motivates these talented, beautiful children to really want to be a part of the fabric of the community. Whether it is in politics or not, doesn't matter to me. But making a contribution, being willing to make a contribution. If there were a legacy that mattered to me, it would be that the same energy inside me that moved me to do this would live in them.
County Commissioner Jim Gibson, thank you.
Thank you, Ed.